Hello guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video we are gonna see, what if Naruto got harem with Hinata, Ino and Tenten. Part 1. Huge shout out to SeerKing for this story. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Konohagakure no Sato, 12 years after the Kikbi attack. Uzumaki Naruko walked down the road to the Hokage tower humming slightly. She felt like she was walking on air. Finally, after 3 years of consecutive failures, she had graduated from the Konohagakure Ninja Academy and was a kunoichi. A slight frown crossed her face. Just yesterday she had failed the graduation exam again, an exam she now knew had been rigged by the traitor Mizuki, so there was no way she could pass. Afterwards, Mizuki had come up and told her about a special makeup exam she could take. All she had to do was infiltrate the Hokage tower, steal a specific scroll, learn a jutsu from it, and presto, she could graduate. The infiltration had been easy as the Anbu patrols were far too set in their patrol patterns, and she had slipped though during a small gap when none of the Anbu could see her. She giggled when she remembered what happened next. Her Jai-chan had caught her as she was about to take the scroll, so she hit him with her original ninjutsu, the anti-pervert Warwick no Jutsu, sexy jutsu, and knocked him out, blood gushing from his nostrils as he left consciousness behind. When she had reached the clearing, she had unrolled the scroll, only to discover that the first jutsu in it was a clone jutsu, her very worst ninjutsu. It had taken her 2 hours to learn the damn jutsu, and she had been very tired afterwards. Not long after she had mastered the jutsu, she had been discovered by Iruka-sensei, her other class teacher. He had just figured out Mizuki's plan when he pushed Naruto out of the way of a barrage of kunai and shuriken. He even took an Fukuma shuriken to the back in order to protect her. Mizuki had then told her why she was hated by the villagers. She was the container of the Kikbi no Kitsune, the 9-tailed demon fox that the 4th Hokage had sacrificed his life to defeat when it attacked the village 12 years ago. The soft smile graced Naruko's face as she remembered him telling Mizuki that she would never act like Mizuki and was not the demon fox. Those words had given her the courage to stand up once again and face down Mizuki. She had used her newly learned jutsu, the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, and had beaten the man into a near unrecognizable pulp. Then Iruka-sensei had given her his own hit I-8 ninja headband and graduated her. Today, she was going to see her Jai-chan and have a talk with him about the damn fox. He had sent an Anbu to ask her to come as soon as possible. She was glad he had chosen a female Anbu as she had just gotten out of the shower. Okay, that's one thing to ask Jai-chan about. Why the hell Anbu don't just knock on my door like everyone else instead of breaking in all the time? Naruko thought to herself as she approached the entrance to the Hokage tower. Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen, Sandae Ami Hokage, Shinobi no Kami and surrogate grandfather to one Uzumaki Naruko, sat at his desk and wrestled with the once and future enemy of all Kage paperwork. He was dressed in the white robes and ceremonial hat of the Hokage and had a weary, burdened look about him that had nothing to do with his advancing years. He just finished stamping denied on yet another request to have Naruko exiled from the village when his secretary let him know that the demon Tich had arrived. "Thank you, Maya-san," Sarutobi said, barely keeping his anger in check. "Also, please clear out your desk. You are fired." His now ex-secretary stomped out grumbling under her breath and let Naruko in. Sarutobi smiled at his surrogate granddaughter fondly. Despite her use of that jutsu, her visits usually brightened his days considerably. Naruko was slightly shorter than most girls were at her age, which Sarutobi attributed to slight malnutrition. Her eyes were a bright blue and glinted with barely concealed mischief. She had 3 small scar-like marks on each cheek and a button nose. Her hair was a strange mix of both her father and mother. It was mostly blonde like Minato's hair, but had red highlights mixed in like Kushina's hair, and it seemed like the more she grew up, the more red appeared in her hair. Currently it was in a ponytail that stretched to the middle of her back. Around her neck was her pair of dark green goggles. "Jai-chan," Naruko called exuberantly as she sat down on the chair in front of his desk. "Naruko-chan," Sarutobi replied, restraining his instinctive impulse to wince at the kill-me-now orange jumpsuit she wore. Seriously, how this girl managed to infiltrate the Hyuga estate and replace all their underwear with pink thongs whilst wearing that thing baffled him. "Jai-chan, why do the Anbu always break into my apartment?" Naruko asked bluntly. Sarutobi let the wince show this time. "They do that?" "Yup. The Anbu you sent to fetch me this morning broke my window lock while I was in the shower and scared the crap out of me when I got out," Naruko said with a scowl. "I see," Sarutobi replied. "That was Hebe, Snake, today, wasn't it?" "Yup. I'll have a word with her," Sarutobi promised, "but for now I suspect that you have some questions about your tenant." Naruko's face fell slightly at the mention of the Kikbi, but nodded. "Hi, Jai-chan." Mizuki team. She spat the traitor's name out as if it was rotten food, said that I was the fox, that all those deaths 12 years ago were my fault. Sarutobi interrupted her furiously. No. You are Uzumaki Naruko, genin of Konoha and container of the Kikbi no Kitsune, not the beast itself. He said firmly, making a mental note to have Ibiki and Anko have a discussion with the former Chunin about mentally tormenting his surrogate granddaughter. Oh okay Jai-chan. Naruko replied, looking slightly relieved, but then why do the villagers hate me so much? Because, to be blunt, they don't have the slightest clue about what they are talking about. Sarutobi told her bluntly. Seeing the blank look on his audience's face, he expanded on his explanation. When the Nidaime Hokage sealed the fox into you, he used an esoteric and difficult branch of the shinobi arts called Fukinjutsu. Using Fukinjutsu, anything is possible as long as you have the right formula. Unfortunately, as most shinobi prefer to use ninjutsu, game jutsu, taijutsu or bukijutsu, weapons jutsu, rather than a complex and hard to understand art like Fukinjutsu, no one could explain precisely what the Nidaime had done. Sarutobi held up a hand as Naruko looked as if she were about to interject. After she settled down again, he continued. What further complicated the matter were the exact seals he used to seal the Kikbi. There are at least 2 and I suspect there are more. The first was the Shikifjin, Reaper Death Seal. The second was the Hakifkin, a trigram seal, which is made of 2 Shishmfkin, 4 symbols seals. Even the least complicated of these seals is way over the heads of an untrained civilian, so they act as humans often do. Distrust what they don't understand. Naruko's face was an embodiment of anger. And the shinobi? She demands, there had to have been someone who understood Fukinjutsu other than Nidaime-sama. There was and is. Sarutobi acknowledged. My own student, Jiraiya of the Sannin, is now Konoha's last remaining seal master. Unfortunately, Jiraiya-kun is rarely in Konoha because he is in charge of our spy network, which requires him to be on the move on a frequent basis. That meant he wasn't in Konoha during the attack of the Kikbi, and, sadly, he couldn't tell the idiot civilians how they were disrespecting both the wishes and the abilities of the Nidaime, with every cry for your death. Great. Just great. Naruko said bitterly, so no matter what I do, I'm screwed. Her eyes shone with tears she refused to shed. I would have to disagree with you there Naruko-chan. Sarutobi said gently, Iruka's parents died during the day of the Kikbi. He now sees you for who you are. Ichiraku Tuchi and Am have known the truth of what you contain for years, and they see you for who you are as well. As for me, I have never seen you as anything other than who you are. Naruko scoffed softly. 4 people out of an entire village. The longest journeys often begin with the smallest of steps. Sarutobi told the depressed Kunoichi. Keep persevering and I don't doubt that you will become the Hokage. Do you really believe I can do it, Jai-chan? Naruko asked in a small voice, her eyes locked onto his own desperately. I hold no doubts. Sarutobi replied softly. Naruko wiped at her eyes for a moment, then gave him one of her trademark foxy grins. Thanks Jai-chan. She said in a voice more like her own. Sarutobi waved the thanks off. Privately, he was very relieved. By the looks of things, he had nipped that line of self-doubt in the bud just in time. The last thing the girl needed was an existential crisis on top of the pressures of being a new genin. Now, to return to the seals are designed to allow you to draw upon the chakra of the Kikbi and use it as your own. Sarutobi told Naruko solemnly. What? Naruko yelped, disgust on her face, if I use that chakra, the villagers will hate me even more. Ah, well, there is no way for you to access the chakra at the moment. Sarutobi replied. Eh? Naruko responded with a quizzical expression on her face, but you just said. At the moment, the seal is fully tightened. Sarutobi explained, it only permits you to access the chakra of the demon fox when you truly believe your life to be in mortal danger. Oh Naruko seemed taken aback. Once I believe you have sufficient maturity and skills, I'll get Jiraiya-kun to teach you how to harness the power of the fox. Sarutobi told her. I am skilled. Naruko protested with a cute pout, I learned the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Yes, an impressive feat, learning a B rank Kinjutsu in only 2 hours. Sarutobi acknowledged, the ease with which you infiltrated the Hokage Tower was equally impressive. I must ask you to write down how you did it. If you do, I'll pay you for the successful completion of a B rank infiltration mission, in addition to your A rank mission of retrieving the Forbidden Scroll of Seals. Hell yeah. Naruko cheered, 2 high-ranking missions before I'm even out of the academy. Beat that, Sasuke team. On the other hand, Sarutobi continued, you are neither able to perform the basic Bunshin no Jutsu, clone Jutsu, at all, nor can you use any game Jutsu. Although the last is an unfortunate side effect of housing your tenant, the first is solvable. Eh? How? That damn Jutsu was the bane of my life. Naruko asked, her eyes boring into her grandfatherly figure. This must have been what I looked like when I asked Minato-kun how he finished his paperwork so quickly. Sarutobi chuckled to himself. Naruko-chan, please perform the Bunshin no Jutsu. If my suspicions are correct, I will be able to help you. He told the exited girl, who drooped slightly at the request. Please don't laugh, okay, Jai-chan. She mumbled as she ran through the seals for the basic clone jutsu taught at the academy. Bunshin no Jutsu. She called as a puff of smoke appeared next to her, which revealed a sick and unhealthy looking clone of Naruko. Sarutobi nodded. Just as I thought. What? What is it, Databeo? You are suffering the same problem the rest of the Uzumaki clan suffered from. Your chakra is so dense and powerful that attempting E and D rank jutsu is incredibly difficult. Sarutobi explained, I would suggest you use the same amount of chakra, but try to make as many clones as possible with that chakra. Okay. Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruko called out again, this time filling the room with smoke. Sarutobi opened a window and dispersed the chakra smoke with an E-rank Futon Jutsu, Futon. Soyakiz, wind style. Gentle breeze, the entire room was covered in Naruko clones. Just like Kushina. Sarutobi thought with a smile as Naruko started dancing in celebration of vanquishing her nemesis. Sarutobi then dispelled the illusory clones with a small chakra pulse. Naruko-chan, calm down please. Sarutobi called. Still grinning like a Cheshire cat, Naruko retook her seat. Now, that was an example of a little creative thinking and dealing with an obstacle. Sarutobi informed Naruko, regrettably, the next problem will be harder to fix. Naruko's face fell slightly. My Taijutsu. She whispered. Yes. Sarutobi told her bluntly. I was watching the clearing last night when you took care of Mizuki. It was full of openings and incorrect stances. Who taught you your Taijutsu? Naruko looked down and fiddled with the hem of her jacket. Mizuki team. She replied quietly. Sarutobi sighed. So, not only had Mizuki tricked and mentally tormented Naruko, he had tried to ensure that she would be killed on her first C-rank mission due to poor close combat skills. Once again, Sarutobi made a note to have his two best interrogators educate Mizuki in why you do not piss off the Kami no Shinobi. Fortunately, I have decided that it is time for you to learn about your mother, Naruko-chan. Sarutobi told her, then braced for loud noises. He wasn't disappointed there, as Naruko leapt to her feet and shrieked, what? At the top of her voice. Given that her normal volume was just under a shout, her top volume was almost loud enough to be considered a high D-rank jutsu. Wincing at the abuse his poor eardrums had just endured, Sarutobi attempted to calm Naruko down so he could explain everything to her. 10 minutes later, Sarutobi finally managed to get her calm and sitting in her seat again. Now, this is your mother's file. Sarutobi gave the thin document into Naruko's trembling hands. She looked at it for a moment before taking a deep breath and opened it. She immediately noticed a very important fact about the file. This is a shinobi registration file. Naruko exclaimed. She looked at the rank section. Jonin. My mother was a Jonin. Indeed. Sarutobi said. Kushina was one of the few S-rank kunoichi this village has ever produced. She could give the Yondaime himself a hard time in a spar when he didn't use his Hiraishin no Jutsu, Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Kushina. Naruko said, testing the unfamiliar name warily, Uzumaki Kushina, my mother. A smile grew on her face as she looked at the picture in the file. A smiling woman with blood-red hair and deep blue eyes looked back at her. The small section caught Naruko's eye. Plant status? Yes. Village of origin? Uzumaki. I'm from a clan. Naruko asked, wait, Jai-chan, you mentioned that I had the same problems as the Uzumaki clan had. The Uzumaki were allies of Konoha for over 50 years. Sarutobi said, they founded their own village on the Isle of Yuzu not long after Konoha was founded, and both villages prospered. The Shodaime Hokage, Senju Hashirama, even married an Uzumaki called Mido, who is your great-great-aunt I believe. All members of the Uzumaki clan had immense stores of unusually dense chakra and had a lot of trouble with chakra control exercises as a result. Naruko smiled at her similarity to her clan and then frowned. You said had. What happened? Sarutobi sighed. This was not going to be pretty. At the start of the Third Great Shinobi War, Kurigakure, Iwagakure and Kumagakure launched a surprise attack on Uzumaki. Only those who were not within Uzumaki during the attack survived. I'm sorry Naruko-chan. Sarutobi said softly. Naruko's eyes dimmed. My clan is gone. Wiped out? She asked bleakly. I'm sorry to say so. Sarutobi confirmed. However, the three attacking villages suffered horrendous casualties at the hands of the Uzumaki. Almost the entire village was related to the Uzumaki in some manner, so there were a lot of them. For every Uzumaki that fell, at least a dozen invaders fell at the same time. When the last sword was sheathed, a full 3/4 of the invading shinobi lay dead and dying among the ruins of Uzumaki. These casualties happened because Kiri, Iwa and Kumo gravely underestimated their foe and, in turn, these casualties, combined with the Nidaime Hokage's Hiraition no Jutsu, allowed Konoha to emerge victorious. So, my clan's sacrifice was one of the cause of Konoha's victory? Naruko questioned. Sarutobi nodded. Then why haven't we heard any of this in class? I know I'm no Sakura-chan, but I think I would have remembered mention of my own surname during a lesson, and I think my friends would have mentioned it as well. Sarutobi smiled at her mention of friends. She had been friends with the Inoshika CHM trio's children for years and was friendly with the Hyuga heiress as well. He then frowned as the rest of what Naruko had said registered. What she said was true. He distinctly remembered adding the history of Uchiha and the Uzumaki clan to the syllabus personally after the end of the war that had all but destroyed the once proud clan. That is an excellent question, Naruko-chan. I'll look into it. Sarutobi said slowly. Anyway, the shinobi forces certainly remembered the Uzumaki clan. We wear the clan symbol as a mark of friendship and remembrance. The Shodaime integrated the symbol into the Konoha leaf symbol so that the Uzumaki would be impossible to forget. Naruko grabbed the Uzumaki spiral that hung from her shoulder and held on to it tightly. After a moment, she whispered, "Arigato, Jai-chan. The Uzumaki deserve all I have done for them and more." Sarutobi said sincerely, "The reason I bring your family up is because they have their own Taijutsu style. Not to mention their own Kinjutsu style and clan jutsu. I had originally intended to wait until you were a chunin to even tell you about your mother's family, but with what happened with Mizuki, I decided that you deserved to inherit this early." The young Kunoichi's eyes were swimming with tears. "I thank you, Jai-chan," she rasped. Sarutobi smiled gently as he got up and walked to a part of the wall that looked no different from the rest. His hands blurred as he hit 16 points in a specific order in under 10 seconds, causing a section of the wall to fall down, revealing a safe door. Placing his hand on the door, Sarutobi sent a pulse of his chakra through it. A series of clicks, clanks and whirring sounds came from within the door, which popped open. Naruko craned her neck to see into the safe. The only things in the safe were 3 boxes. 1 red, 1 yellow and 1 orange. They were about half the length of the forbidden scroll. Sarutobi took the red and orange boxes out before closing the safe again. Sarutobi handed Naruko the boxes. After attempting to juggle them for a minute, Naruko made a pair of shadow clones to hold them. "Don't open them until you're in your apartment," Sarutobi warned Naruko, who nodded. She knew the clan styles and jutsu were protected by law, but most ninja operated under the rule finders keepers. Boom. A massive explosion bloomed in the village, causing a startled Naruko to shield the Hokage and draw a kunai by instinct. After a moment, Naruko lowered her guard when no further explosions came. "Anbu?" Sarutobi called, prompting his 4 bodyguards to apparently teleport into the room. "Find out what and where that explosion was. Go." The Anbu vanished in puffs of smoke. "I have got to learn how to do that," Naruko muttered to herself as she sheathed the kunai she had drawn. "Hatch," Sarutobi said and tossed Naruko a standard-sized scroll. "That has the basics of the Shunshin no Jutsu, body flicker jutsu, on it. A reward for your quick reflexes." "Yes." Naruko cheered. She quickly deposited the scroll in one of her jacket's many pockets. She jumped slightly as another Anbu appeared in a swirl of leaves. "Inu, dog." The Hokage greeted the Anbu with a terse nod. "Hokage-sama." The explosion originated at the building that Uzumaki-san used to live in. It is now merely rubble, with minor damage to the surrounding buildings and a few minor injuries to passing civilians. Inu reported briskly. "No, my home," Naruko said hollowly, falling to her knees at the revelation that her home of 7 years was gone. Sarutobi dismissed Inu and knelt next to Naruko. "Don't worry, Naruko-chan. None of your stuff was in the house when it exploded." "Huh?" Naruko looked at the Hokage blankly. "After you left this morning, Anbu operatives removed all of your possessions from the apartment and took it to your new residence," Sarutobi explained. "New huh?" Naruko said, her expression puzzled. "When you defeated Mizuki, you defeated the last of the small and relatively unknown Toji clan." Sarutobi explained that alone would have won you all of his ninja gear. Add in the fact he was about to become a Nukenin after stealing the scroll of seals and you won all he owned including his house and any shares in businesses he had. It is your right as the member of a clan to take possession of all he once owned. "I won his house," Naruko said disbelievingly. "Indeed. I acted in advance of your knowledge of the laws because I thought it would make a nice graduation present." Sarutobi's face twisted sourly. "Now it's far more a necessity than anything else, meaning I still owe you a graduation present." Thinking for a minute, Sarutobi's face brightened. "Aha. I know what to give you." Sarutobi stood, made 5 hand signs, drew some blood, then slammed his hand on the floor. "Uchiha no Jutsu Sarutanya. Enki. Summoning Jutsu Monkey Blacksmith. Enki." he shouted. The plume of chakra smoke appeared where the Hokage slammed his hand and cleared to reveal a white and brown monkey about Naruto's height, wearing a leather apron, gloves and an eye patch over his left eye. His upper body was bulging with muscles and had a no-nonsense air about him. "Sarutobi, why have you summoned me?" the monkey asked in a rasping voice. "Enki? I would like the gauntlet if you please," Sarutobi said politely. The monkey made an odd sound that Naruto thought might be a laugh. "Why do you need that old thing?" he asked the Hokage. "It rejected you." "For Naruto-chan." The Hokage replied, indicating Naruto with a small gesture. "She just graduated from the academy and I thought it would make an excellent gift." Enki looked Naruto up and down and snorted dismissively. "I doubt she has the reserves to even put the thing on, let alone use it." "Boy," Naruto said, a tick mark appearing on her head, "I have so much chakra that I have to make hundreds of regular bunchins in order for the damn jutsu to work. Whatever it is you're talking about, I can handle it, Databeo." The monkey raised his only visible eyebrow at the anger Naruto put in her voice. "You really shouldn't say that until you know what you're talking about, Cosm, brat. The item Sarutobi wishes to give you doesn't work for people who do not have the right skills, chakra and minced. It is my best creation, only one person in the last 30 years has worn the damn thing, and she died using it. Since then, no one has been able to even put it on, even Sarutobi here. I won't die until I become Hokage." Naruto said stubbornly, "So bring it on, Enki-san." Enki studied her for a moment before nodding. "Okay, Cosm. But don't say I didn't warn you." He disappeared in a puff of smoke. "Now we wait," Sarutobi told Naruto. He sat back down at his desk and fought his enemy once again while he waited. Naruto dispelled her clones as she now had to wait here for a while, but still threw longing glances at the boxes that held her heritage. The puff of smoke signaled Enki's return. He was holding a box that was just over a foot long and half that wide. He placed it on the floor before him reverently and motioned Naruto to sit opposite him. "I swore 20 years ago that no one beneath the rank of Jonin would ever even try to wear this gauntlet again," Enki said solemnly. "Now, I find myself breaking my word to myself." Enki removed the lid slowly to reveal one of the most beautiful things Naruto had ever seen. It was a gauntlet, similar to a samurai's, but far more ornamented. Made from finely wrought steel, it was covered in fighting monkeys, with a snarling monkey head over the part that protected the back of the hand. Just behind where the wrist was, the armor was bronze and seemed to be able to rotate. "Behold," Enki whispered hoarsely, "Nkgot, the gauntlet of the Monkey King." The next day. Council Chamber, Hokage Tower. Sarutobi pinched the bridge of his nose wearily. "Kami, these council meetings gave him more headaches than Naruto's pranks. For the last time, Uzumaki Naruko's graduation is permitted as a special exemption due to her mastering a B-rank Genjutsu, stopping a traitor from fleeing with the Scroll of Seals, and saving the life of her teacher from the traitor." He shouted at the group of people seated to his left, the civilian part of the council. "But Hokage-sama, she's a demon." A rather stupid councilman protested. The rest of the civilian council fell silent and edged away from the idiotic man. They all knew what was going to happen now. Sarutobi glared at the man and unleashed his Kai, making his target cower away from him and lose control of his bladder. "As everyone in this room is aware of Naruto's status as a Jinchuriki, I cannot have you executed." Sarutobi spoke in an angry whisper that echoed in the now silent room. "However, if you ever dare refer to Naruto as a demon ever again in my presence, you shall join Mizuki in Anbuti Andai's custody and suffer everything he has gone through at the hands of Mitarashi Anko and Marino Ibiki." "Am I understood?" "Hi Hokage-sama," the now terrified man quavered. "Good," Sarutobi said in a more normal tone of voice. "You are excused from the council today as I believe you need to get a change of undergarments, among other things." The man glowed red with humiliation, but got up and squelched his way out of the council chamber. Sarutobi sighed and glanced around. "Does anyone else have a point to bring up about Naruto's graduation before we move on to the next topic?" he asked. "I do," said a man wearing black clothes and bandages and had his arm in a sling. Sarutobi sighed. He should have known. "No, Dansm. I will not let you turn Naruto into an emotionless killing machine," he told his old teammate. "It would be for the best, Hiruzen," Dansm insisted. "Give her to me, and I shall forge from her a weapon of unparalleled strength to protect Konoha." "I said no, Dansm. Do not push your luck." Sarutobi warned him, "Naruto is already absolutely loyal to Konoha, and I will not allow you to destroy her emotions just because you feel they get in the way. Now drop it." "Very well, Hiruzen, but I warn you that you will regret not taking my advice. She will go out of control and you will wish that you had listened to me," Dansm said genially. Sarutobi gave his old friend a hard look before asking once again if anyone had anything further to add about Naruto before moving on to the next item on the agenda. "No one? Good." The next item is the proposal I made in which the new Genin teams, once they have been passed by their Jonin sensei of course, will be moved into the same apartment and learn to live together. Opinions. What's the point? Ask a civilian, I mean, why bother to move them out of their parents' homes when they're only 12? Sarutobi was surprised at such a stupid question, then he remembered this was a civilian he was talking to. Firstly, although newly graduated Genin are only 12 or 13, once they receive their hit I-8, they are considered adults in the eyes of the village as you should be well aware, Satoshi-san. Sarutobi said looking pointedly at the man who had asked the question. Secondly, I believe that it should help improve teamwork. Living together and working together should help the teams bond more quickly and thus raise the speed of their on-the-job efficiency. Third, having to pay for utilities out of their mission pay and standard Genin pay will teach them a sense of responsibility and maturity that will be needed on C rank and above missions, not to mention the Chunin selection exams. Sarutobi finished his explanation and looked around to see the council's reaction. The ninja side was nodding approvingly. Except Narashikaku, but that was just because he was asleep as always. The advisors, Kaharu and Homura, were also nodding in approval. Dansum looked Sarutobi in the eye and shrugged indifferently. The civilian side was having a whispered debate that seemed to be leaning towards accepting the proposal. Does the council feel that a decision can be reached today? Sarutobi inquired. Seeing a majority of them agree, the aged Hokage said, very well. All those in favor of the proposal, raise your hands. The vast majority of the room raised their hands, drawing dirty looks from a couple of civilians. All those against? A small group of stubborn civilians raised their hands. The proposal is accepted by the majority. Sarutobi declared, starting with this graduating class, the Genin Housing Act is in force. The meeting continued after that, with nothing of interest coming up. After it ended, Sarutobi was surprised to see the Inoshika CHM Hikahiyashi as well as Councilwoman Haruno in his office. This is an unsurprising gathering that I should have anticipated. Sarutobi mused aloud, might I assume your children have something to do with it? Ino was very insistent on finding out what happened to Naruko. Yamanaka Inoichi said dryly. My troublesome son set my wife on me when I said it was too troublesome to find out. Shikaku groused. Jai was wondering why Naruko never showed up to their weekly ramen eating contest. Akimichi Chimza said. My daughter heard about Naruko-chan's house being blown up and was concerned. Haruno Megumi added. My eldest was so worried about Naruko that she forgot to hold back against Hanabi and defeated her soundly. Hiyashi said, a hint of pride in his voice. Sarutobi sealed the room with a couple of well-placed seals. Before speaking. What is said here is to be kept absolutely confidential. Understood. He said firmly looking at each person and getting a nod. Naruko's apartment building was destroyed by a large number of explosive tags placed at key structural locations to ensure both the collapse of the building and the death of anyone in the top floor. Where Naruko's apartment was located. Shikaku finished in a drawling tone. Troublesome. So that means that at least one shinobi is in on it. The Anbu who investigated the scene reported that an estimate of at least 500 explosive tags were used to destroy the building, far more than was needed considering it was teetering on the verge of being condemned due to lack of necessary maintenance. 100 would have been more than enough. Sarutobi added. That is a lot of explosive tags. Inoichi remarked, I don't think that Konoha has had that many tags in reserve since the death of the Yondaime. We don't. The Sandaime stated. We have barely 150 tags in reserve and only about 30 are made a month from an old man who is of only passable skill. From the remains of a few of the tags, we have determined that only a few were his work, with the rest being either the Yondaime's work or fairly amateurish homemade attempts. I have also looked had the reserves checked and they are untouched. Therefore, I then turn to the only shop in Konoha that sells them. According to their records, Anbu buys 10 a month, with various Jonin and Chunin buying most of the others. Interestingly enough, one person has bought about 5 to 7 a month since the stores the Yondaime made were emptied, in addition to purchasing 50 a month from the Yondaime's stores since the Yondaime's death. Who was it? Megumi asked. Yamanaka Haro. The Sandaime said. Inoichi looked sick. That is unsurprising. Inoichi said faintly, his mother was the only Yamanaka to die on the day of the Kikbi. Yes, although strangely enough, he has not been seen near Naruko-chan's building at all in the past 7 years since she moved there. Sarutobi said with a frown, this leads me to conclude he had accomplices. I have assigned a pair of Anbu to shadow him, as well as questioning Naruko's Anbu watchers to list everyone who entered Naruko's old home and how frequently. It did not take a single hour to set those tags, and I will find out who did it. Speaking of Naruko, where is she? Chimza asked. Sarutobi smirked. Oh, she's getting settled into her new house. Same time. The former Toji clan home, clan residential district. Sheesh, this place is cool and everything, but it's filthy. Naruko muttered as she scrubbed the wooden floor with a cloth. She generally wasn't a neat freak, but according what to her Jai-chan had told her when he brought her here last night, the Toji clan had been reduced to a single family during the Third Great War, who had then moved into the main ninja residential district. Mizuki team had been the only one to survive the Kikbi's attack on Konoha, and he had lived in the academy barracks, so the place hadn't been lived in for at least 20 years and was in desperate need of a good clean. Erg. Naruko threw the cloth down in frustration. I've been at this for over 5 hours and barely scratched the surface. I haven't even had a chance to look at my family's scrolls. I need help. Suddenly an idea popped into her head and she made the clone hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. She called and summoned 30 exact copies of herself. Alright ladies. Naruko said, putting her hands on her hips, we have a house to clean and it isn't going to clean itself. Split up and clean this place until it goes pink. Start in the living quarters and work your way to the rest of the compound. Yes ma'am. Her doppelgangers chorused before splitting up and spreading throughout the house. Naruko grinned to herself. This jutsu was so useful. That thought actually stopped her for a moment. Come to think of it, this jutsu was in the Forbidden Scroll of Seals. There should be a reason for that. I'll ask Jai-chan when he comes to visit this afternoon. Shaking her head slightly, Naruko wandered into the living room that she had cleaned over an hour ago and sat down on the sofa with a sigh. A metallic clinking noise drew her attention to the gauntlet she now wore on her right arm. Raising her arm, she admired the way the light shone on the metal as she remembered what had happened in the Hokage's office the previous day. Flashback. Nkegoti. Naruko breathed, entranced by the beautiful gauntlet. Yes. Enki said solemnly, as I said, my finest work. I am one of the 2 master blacksmiths of the monkey clan. I forge armor, my counterpart forges weapons. I created this gauntlet for King Enma, the monkey king, as a tithe of sorts. Tithe? Naruko asked, baffled. Something similar to a tax. Sarutobi simplified for her. Indeed. Enki agreed, however, King Enma couldn't wear it as it required far too much chakra for him to do so. Enma is my personal summon, Naruko-chan. Sarutobi explained, seeing her incomprehension, he is the boss summon of the monkey clan, therefore the most powerful of them all. Naruko's eyes widened. Someone on the same level as Nidaime-sama's summon Gamabunta wasn't able to wear this gauntlet? She asked in awe. Enki snorted. Enma-sama is far older and more experienced than Gamabunta. He whipped all the summons of the Sannin, Gamabunta, Katsaya and Manda, at the same time during a sparring session. Naruko's eyes widened further. Sarutobi grinned. Let's bring him here so we can see his reaction when Naruko-chan here does what he could not. Enki recoiled, but nodded in acquiescence. Sarutobi weaved the summoning jutsu's hand signs again. Kuchius. Enkm. Enma. Summoning. Monkey King. Enma. In a puff of smoke, a man-sized monkey wearing a tiger-skin kimono, a black shinobi suit and a Konoha hit I-8. He had white fur all over his body and had a long goatee and sideburns. Hiruzen. Why have you summoned me when there is no battle or training to be done? Enma asked after looking around for a moment. Enma. Sarutobi greeted his summon genially, I brought you here to see an end to our little wager. He gestured to the open box and the gaping Naruko. That thing. Enma snorted, there is no way that she can wear it, even as she does have the Kikbi sealed inside her. Naruko recoiled. How? Enma and I arrived just as the Yondaime sealed the fox into you. Sarutobi replied, don't worry. Enma is very knowledgeable about the ninja arts and beasts of similar power to the Kikbi have been sealed away before. Those villagers still don't know the difference between a scroll and the kunai that's sealed in it? Enma asked. At a single nod from Sarutobi, Enma snorted again and muttered something under his breath before turning to Naruko. Kid, I have nothing against you. You were barely an hour old when the damn fox was sealed into you and the Yondaime would not have picked you if he did not think you could handle it. Ignore the villagers and trust what Sarutobi here says. He knows you, they don't. Enma told the girl bluntly. Arigato, Enma-sama. Naruko said softly. Then she beeped her head to the side and looked at Enma for a moment. I could swear that I've seen you before, Enma-sama, but I can't think where. She confessed with a small frown. Remember me? Hardly surprising. Enma chuckled, Hiruzen summoned me to guard you when you were still a baby and he had to go off to a council meeting. Some idiot Chunin tried to kill you and I took care of him. I would guard you when Hiruzen here was out of the village, discreetly, right up until you were about 5. You probably caught glimpses of me and that's why you recognize me a bit. Naruko bowed at Enma. Thank you for guarding me, Enma-sama. That's doing my job, kid. Besides, those who attack younglings are scum and need to be removed from the world. Remember this. Enma replied. Hi. Naruko nodded. Enki, who had been silent until now, cleared his throat. Ahem. Naruko-san, if you still wish to attempt this, please say so. He said in a formal tone that sounded weird in his rasping voice. Taking her cue from him, Naruko straightened slightly and said, I wish to proceed. Enki nodded and tapped the NK-goatee in 3 different places. The rearmost plate, the section that seemed to be able to revolve, and the snarling ape's mouth. Where he touched, small holes opened up. Now, take a kunai and put a drop of blood into each hole. Enki directed. Shrugging, Naruko did so. As she dripped a drop into each hole, it closed up. Once the last hole was closed, the gauntlet began to glow a faint blue. What's happening? Naruko asked. The gauntlet is judging your worthiness. Enma replied, I made it past this stage, but failed the next one. How can you tell that it accepts you? The blonde kunoichi asked. Snick. Everyone looked at the gauntlet as the lower half snapped open. It does that. Enki replied in perfect deadpan, gesturing at the gauntlet, now you must simply put it on. What'll it do then? Naruko asked warily, not forgetting that this gauntlet had killed someone who was unworthy to wield it. Drain you of your chakra. Enki stated bluntly, you see, the NK-goatee is technically an incomplete device at the moment. Until someone gives it sufficient chakra in a single sitting, it will never be complete. Why a single sitting? Sarutobi asked. That's how it turned out. Enki replied, I have since adjusted my methods to ensure this doesn't happen, but none since have had the potential that this one has. Naruko took a breath, released it, then picked up the gauntlet. Make sure you put it on your dominant arm. Enki warned. Nodding, Naruko carefully fitted the NK-goatee to her right arm. Snick. The gauntlet closed around her arm and glowed red, then green, then a deep blue. Is it shrinking? Sarutobi asked curiously. The gauntlet was indeed shrinking to the right size for Naruko's arm. It did the same for me. Enma noted, Naruko, when you feel a sudden drain of your chakra, make the ram hand sign and move chakra into your right arm. Not a lot, just maintain a slow, steady stream. Right. Naruko nodded. A minute passed, then Naruko stiffened and then made the ram hand sign. Damn, this is more chakra than I've ever used before. Naruko grunted, sweat beading her brow with the effort. Abruptly, an Anbu appeared in the room, a hand on his ninjin. Hokage-sama, I detected an immense buildup of chakra here, he said. It is of no importance. Sarutobi told the Anbu, everything is under control. Return to your post. The Anbu vanished in a swirl of leaves. How long do I have to maintain this for? Naruko asked, returning everyone's attention to the struggling kunoichi. The process should be complete when the monkey engravings on the sides all turn from chakra metal to adamantine. Enki replied. Looking at the gauntlet closely, the watchers could see that the first 2 monkeys had changed from the bright shiny gray of the steel-like chakra metal to a hard matte black metal. So 2 down, 10 to go? Naruko asked, getting a nod in return. Over the next half hour, 9 of the 10 remaining monkeys turned to adamantine. Impressive. Enma noted, I was only able to get to 7.5. This last one is more draining than the others. Naruko gasped out, it's almost like it's fighting me. Enki frowned, then realization lit his face. Naruko, it's the chakra of the others who have attempted to wear NK-goatee, it's fighting you. If you fully claim possession of it, the chakra of those who came before you will cease to be. Naruko looked at him, startled. But what about the person who died with this thing on? What if it's a ghost? Sweat drops appeared on every person or ape watching the kunoichi. Naruko, we've been over this before. Sarutobi said patiently, there are no such things as ghosts. What is fighting against you now is just chakra. Increase the rate of flow to your arm and it should be over soon. Right. Naruko focused again and the watching shinobi and blacksmith could feel the flow of chakra become more rapid, and so slowly, surely but relentlessly, the last monkey turned into adamantine. The long, drawn-out monkey howl emerged from the gauntlet as it began glowing a bright and vibrant blue that increased in intensity until no one could look at it. And suddenly, the light was gone and the occupants of the room could see once more. Naruko looked at the NK-goatee and saw that the snarling face on the front was also adamantine. You actually did it. Enki said, disbelief plain on his face, the last person who wore that was an experienced jonin, and yet you managed to. Who was she anyway, the last person to wear this gauntlet? Naruko asked, tapping the gauntlet with a finger. Her name was Sarutobi Miwa. The Sandai Ami said softly, she was a remarkable young woman with considerable promise as a kunoichi. I'll remember her. Naruko promised. Sarutobi chuckled softly as he caught sight of one part of the gauntlet. By the looks of things, whoever receives the NK-goatee after you will know you as well. Naruko sent a questioning look at Sarutobi, who pointed at the underside of the gauntlet. When Naruko looked, there were 2 sets of kanji engraved along the length of the gauntlet. One was Enki, the other was FZ Meep, Uzumaki Naruko. Not entirely unexpected. Enma said with an amused look on his face at Naruko's stunned disbelief, "You did help create it after all." But Naruto tried to protest, but was interrupted by Enki. I may have forged a thing, but it was your chakra that gave life to it." Enki held out a hand, "Nice working with you." Naruko shook hands on automatic, still stunned at having her name on an artifact that took so much of her chakra. "Man, I am exhausted," she commented as she let go of Enki's hand and sat down, visibly tired. "Naruko-chan, exactly how much chakra did you use?" Sarutobi asked curiously. The blonde Kunoichi shrugged. "Dunno. A lot of it, I guess. Never felt chakra exhaustion, but from what I remember Iruka-sensei saying about how it feels, I've come pretty close to it just now." Sarutobi raised an eyebrow at this. Naruko had far more chakra than he himself did, and she had come close to chakra exhaustion. Naruko turned to Enki. "So, what the heck can this thing do anyway? If it needed so much chakra, it must do some cool stuff." "That can wait until tomorrow, Naruko-chan. We have to go about finding a place for you to sleep tonight." Sarutobi interjected. "Sounds fair to me," Enki said gruffly. "This girl needs to lie down before she falls down." "Same time tomorrow, Sarutobi." 3 days from now." Sarutobi corrected him. "Naruko will be recuperating and getting her team assignment tomorrow, and the real Genin test the day afterwards." Enma nodded. "Summon me as well, Hiruzen. I have a part to play in this too." After Sarutobi agreed, the two summons bade Naruko farewell and disappeared back to their realm in 2 puffs of smoke. Flashback end. Naruko was jolted out of her thoughts by the sensation of one of her clones dispersing. "Jai-chan's early," she muttered as she got up to meet her Kage. "Ah, Naruko-chan." Sarutobi called as he walked down the now pristine hallway, "I believe I told you last night to take it easy." Naruko scratched the back of her head nervously. "I am Jai-chan. I only made 30 clones." "Only 30," she says. "In my prime, I could make that many before passing out." Sarutobi thought wryly. "Fair enough." He allowed, "Anyway, it's almost time for team assignments, so get cleaned up." "Damn." Naruko yelped as she ran off. Sarutobi chuckled. "Ah, to be that energetic again." A short while later. Naruko's classroom, Konohagakure Ninja Academy. "Be no pig, get away from Sasuke-kun," shouted a pink-haired girl wearing a red battle dress. "DCH. You first, forehead girl," replied a platinum blonde wearing a purple top and skirt, bandages and cream arm warmers. The two girls were standing next to an empty seat that was in turn next to a raven-haired boy with onyx eyes wearing a blue top, white shorts and cream arm warmers. The boy currently had a large tick mark on his forehead at the noise the two squabbling girls were making so near his ears. "Don't those two ever get tired of that?" asked a rotund boy as he opened a bag of potato snacks. His companion, a pineapple-haired boy who had his head on the desk, turned his head slightly to look at his friend. "Women are too troublesome for words, Chinjai," he replied. At the back of the room, a blue-haired girl in a bulky white coat looked at an empty seat with a tinge of sadness in her lavender eyes. "Naruko-chan," she thought sadly. Nearby, a boy with brown hair and wearing a large olive-green coat sat silently ignoring his classmates. In the front row, a boy with facial tattoos resembling fangs and wearing a gray coat with a hood was playing with a small white puppy. It was into this chaos that Iruka walked as he entered the room. Walking slowly, he made his way to the teacher's podium. He noted all of this class's usual idiosyncratic oddities with a small sigh. Flipping through 3 hand signs, he used his nin. Inigashira no Jutsu, ninja art. Demon head jutsu, to make his head seemingly swell up to 3 times its normal size and increase his voice volume by a large amount as well. "Sit down now," he roared, causing the entire class to come to order at last. Wincing slightly from the pain coming from the wound Mizuki gave him, Iruka looked at the class and was about to speak when the door slammed open. "Sorry I'm late," Naruko yelled as she barreled into the classroom. "Ah, Naruko," Iruka said with a smile. "Settling in okay?" "Yeah, but the place is filthy. I've got a lot of work to do when I get back," Naruko grumbled. "Boy, dope. Why are you here? This is a graduates-only class." The boy with the puppy jeered. "Use your eyes for a change, Kiba." Naruko snapped back and pointed at the hit I-8 on her forehead. "Jai-chan will explain everything when he gets here." "Alright Naruko, take your seat," Iruka told her. She grinned at him and walked over to her usual seat. Iruka then launched into a speech about how proud he was of them and the expectations that now befell them as ninja. Naruko sighed and crossed her legs, bored by this. Once Iruka-sensei finished his speech, the third Hokage entered and looked at them sternly. "I'm certain that some of you are wondering why Toji Mizuki is not here," he said gravely. "I'm afraid Mizuki is under arrest for the attempted theft of the Forbidden Scroll of Seals, assault on a fellow Konoha shinobi, and breaking an S-rank law." A flurry of whispers erupt from the new Genin, barring the Uchiha and the Aburami. Sarutobi waited for the noise to die down before speaking again. As a result of the confrontation, Uzumaki Naruko was given a special dispensation to be given the rank of Genin. I ask that you do not pressure her for details as she is still somewhat exhausted from the confrontation. Jai-chan. Naruko yelps in protest. It's true, Naruko. Sarutobi told her firmly, in fact, once you've met with your Jonin-sensei, I want you to go straight home, alright? Hi, Jai-chan. Naruko said, giving in to her grandfather figure's demand. Good. Sarutobi nodded firmly. Turning his attention back to the rest of the Genin, the Hokage unfurled a scroll and began reading out the teams. Naruko ignored teams 1 through 6 because they were all civilian-born Genin, including that bitch Ami, who had made Naruko's life miserable when she was younger. Team 7 shall be comprised of Uchiha Sasuke, Haruno Sakura and Inuzuka Kiba, with Hot Aki Kakashi as the Jonin-sensei. Sarutobi announced. Shanrao. Eat that Ino pig. True love conquers all. Sakura yelled in victory. Why am I with the breedy emo and the pink banshee? Yelled Kiba. HN. Sasuke grunted dismissively. Team 8 shall be comprised of Yamanaka Ino, Uzumaki Naruko and Hyuga Hinata, with Ikki Kurenai as the Jonin-sensei. The Hokage continued, ignoring the two loud outbursts. Well, I suppose it could be worse. Ino muttered. Hinata fainted with joy. Nice. Naruko grinned. Team 9 is still in circulation from last year. Team 10 shall be comprised of Aburami Shino, Akamichi Chimjai and Nara Shikamaru, with Sarutobi Asuma as the Jonin-sensei. Sarutobi finished and tucked the scroll away in his robe. Troublesome. Muttered Shikamaru. Shino merely remained silent. Much at least Shika's with me. Chimjai said as he feasted on his snacks. After lunch, your Jonin-sensei will pick you up. Except Team 7 sensei, he will be 3 hours late. Sarutobi told them. Why? Asked Sakura, curiously. Because he feels like it. Was the blunt response, causing Team 7 to sweat drop. Sarutobi coughed slightly. Anyway, we will now break for lunch. Make sure not to be late for your meeting with your Jonin-sensei. With that, the Hokage disappeared in a puff of smoke. As the majority of the students made their way out of the classroom, Hinata finally woke up. I know what happened. She asked Ino, who had walked over to her. You found out Naruko-chan was on your team and passed out. Ino replied as she helped her new teammate to her feet. Ino-chan. Hinata-chan. Naruko called from the door, let's go to Ichiraku's for lunch. My treat. Humming. Ino called. Running to catch up with Naruko, Ino and Hinata missed a blonde-haired man glaring at them from outside the window. Yamanaka Haruo glared at the demon bitch as she led his clan's heiress, as well as the Hyuga heiress down the street. How had she survived the blast that had leveled her building? Was she immortal or something? He was careful to keep out of sight and far enough back that the Hyuga girl could not see him, even if she activated her Kekkei Genkai, as he leapt across the roofs as he followed his quarry. He had been 13 when the QP had attacked. He had been off duty and spending time with his mother, Hinako, when the immense beast had broken through the outer wall and started laying waste to the village. His mother had used the family jutsu, Shintenshin no Jutsu, mind-body switch jutsu, on the beast and had had her mind shredded into nothing by the beast. Her body had not lasted a day after the death of her mind. When Haruo had heard that the fox was sealed in a baby, he knew that the child's mind had been lost to the fox's own powerful mind. After all, seal or no seal, if a Yamanaka, who specialized in mental assaults and defense, could not withstand the demon, what chance could a mere child have? Therefore, he had prepared to slay the demon, as he felt the Yandaime had intended to happen, and in the name of vengeance for his mother. A number of attempts were made to kill the demon by Haruo, using his Shintenshin no Jutsu Onklinless Shinobi in the weeks following the day of the QP. All of them were ones who had lost loved ones in the attack and were mad with grief and rage at the QP. Because of that fact, they were not scanned by his own clan when the Anbu caught them. When the third Hokage placed a demon in the orphanage, he was always under the constant guard of Anbu. Haruo realized that now was not the time and had bided his time gathering the tools for the plan he had laid out. When the orphanage had thrown the demon out for the last time, the third had arranged an apartment for it, which had prompted everyone else in the building, including the owner, to abandon it like rats from a sinking ship. Exactly as Haruo had anticipated. He had gathered a group of like-minded individuals and enacted his plan. In ones and twos, they had infiltrated the building and placed exploding tags in key areas of the structure so that, when detonated, the demon would die, either from being crushed to death or from the initial blasts. That had not been quick or easy to do. A friend of his was a Hyuga who was an amateur seal master. He had made a fair number of the tags. Unfortunately, only one tag in 5 actually worked, so they had to use far more than was actually needed just to be on the safe side. In addition, Anbu watched the demons building like hawks, so they couldn't be seen near the building too often. It had taken 7 years between clan obligations, missions, Chunin exams and Jonin exams to reach the point that the building could be destroyed and kill the demon. He had detonated the tags the day after the Genin exam, thinking that the demon would still be in its home, moping after being failed again. He had then gone out for a drink to celebrate, only to see the damn demon bitch walking beside the third Hokage towards the clan residential district. Not only that, but she wore a hit I-8. He couldn't understand it. How? How had the conniving demon escaped the trap he had worked so hard on for 7 years? How had she actually managed to graduate? He was utterly confused. Not to mention angry. Fine then. If he couldn't kill her subtly, he'd just gut her in person. He had been a Jonin for over 2 years and could easily handle Kurenai, who had only been promoted a couple of months ago. The two heiresses were not even a speed bump to Haruo's mind. Haruo was so focused on his plan that he failed to notice a masked figure following behind him. With teammate. Naruko was smiling happily as she walked into the Chirakus with her team. She was surprised that she was lucky enough to get on a team with 2 of her friends. She couldn't think how she could have coped with either Kiba or Ami on her team, and don't even get her started on Sasuke the emo prince. Asan, Ni-chan. She called to the owners as she took a seat at the counter. Ichiraku Tucci turned around, his usual large smile growing slightly larger at the sight of his best customer. Naruko-chan. Where have you been the last 2 days? AM was growing frantic when she heard your apartment building was blown up. He asked her with concern in his voice. Naruko scratched the back of her head in embarrassment. Sorry Asan. I was with Sande Emi Jai-chan when my apartment was blown up, then I had to crash for the night. This morning I was busy cleaning up my new place. Ah, well that's good. Tucci smiled at Naruko fondly. He was interrupted by a brown blur that leapt over the counter and crashed into Naruko. Ino and Hinata gaped as a brown-haired older girl hugged Naruko in a death grip. Naruko, where have you been? Baka Amado. Idiot little sister. The brown-haired girl cried out. You'd better let Naruko go before she suffocates. Tucci said, amusement coloring his voice. Eeped as she let go of Naruko, who had been turning blue in Am's embrace. Omen, Naruko-chan. Am said after her surrogate sister had recovered from her death by Glump experience. It's okay Ni-chan. I should have let you know I was alright. Naruko replied with a grin. Tucci caught sight of her hit I-8. Oh, Naruko-chan. You graduated. Congratulations. He boomed. Yep. Naruko said, pride in her voice. And these 2 must be your team? Tucci deduced. Yuhe. This is Yamanaka Ino-chan and Hyuga Hinata-chan. Naruko introduced her friends to Tucci. Hi. Ino said with a smile. Ayano hello, Ichiraku-san. Hinata said, with a small bow. Just call me Tucci, Oju-chan. The chef said kindly, tell you what, to celebrate your graduation, the first bowl is on the house. Thanks Asan. Naruko beamed at him, I'll have a pork ramen. A small veggie ramen. Ino said. A chicken ramen, please. Hinata said politely. The 3 girls chatted about their classmates who were in teams 1 through 6 while they ate. Both Ino and Hinata were just as glad as Naruko was that Ami was not on their team. Ami had been the class queen bitch and only her cronies liked her. After they finished, they made their way back to the academy. As they walked, Naruko looked at Ino with a small frown on her face. Ino-chan, you need to eat more. She said finally. I'm on a diet Naruko. Ino replied. We're kunoichi. We don't need to diet. Naruko argued. We have an active life and exercise a lot when we train. All your diet is doing to you is stopping you from getting the energy you need. Naruko, I am sticking to my diet. Ino replied, a tick mark appearing on her head, Sasuke-kun won't like me if I'm fat. Still don't see what you see in that team. Naruko said, he has all the personality of a dead fish and I've had better conversations with Akamaru. Baka. Don't insult Sasuke-kun. Ino yelled at her, what do you have against him anyway? An Uchiha tried to kill me when I was 7. Naruko snapped back angrily, the only Uchihas who didn't hurt me were Itachi Nai, Sasuke's mum and Shisui-san. Wide-eyed, Ino stared at Naruko in horror. Why though? Did you prank them or something? Can't tell you that Ino-chan. Naruko said softly. Just trust me, Sasuke team is not worth it if he's anything like what the majority of his clan were like. Ino looked like she wanted to ask something else, but they had reached the academy and so she evidently decided to wait until later to grill Naruko. Making their way to their classroom for what would presumably be the last time, teammates sat together and waited for their Jonin sensei. Oh yeah, guess what you two. Naruko said excitedly, Jai-chan told me about my mother yesterday. I am glad for you, Naruko-chan. Hinata said with a happy smile. All of Naruko's friends knew how much the blonde prankster yearned to know about her family. "So, who was she?" Ino asked. Naruko smiled softly. "Her name was Uzumaki Kushina, an S-rank Jonin Kunoichi," she said quietly. "Jai-chan said she could give Yondaime-sama a hard time in a spar if he didn't use his Hiraishin no Jutsu." "Wow." Hinata breathed in awe. The Yondaime Hokage was practically worshipped by the entire village, both for his actions during the Third Great Shinobi War, where he wiped out fully half of Iwagakure's shinobi forces, and for sacrificing his life to slay the Kyuubi 12 years ago. For Naruko's mother to have been able to give him a hard fight in a spar was incredible. Ino was equally stunned. "I'll say. What happened to her?" Naruko slumped a bit. "She died an hour after giving birth to me. Her body was discovered next to Yondaime-sama's. The file I read didn't say how she died or why she was on the battlefield almost immediately after giving birth to me." Ino's eyes watered and she felt like kicking herself for asking such an insensitive question. She had obviously died before Naruko could remember her, so she should have kept her mouth shut. "Sorry, Naruko-chan. I shouldn't have asked that," Ino said softly. Naruko shook her head slightly. "It's okay, Ino-chan," she assured her friend with a small smile. Just then, the door opened and a pair of shinobi entered the room. One was a man who looked a lot like a much younger version of the third Hokage, wearing the standard Jonin outfit with a sash around his waist with the character K, fire, emblazoned on it. Naruko supposed that this was Sarutobi Asuma. The other person to walk in was a Kunoichi. She had black hair, an unsettling pair of red eyes, and wore an outfit that looked like it was made of bandages with thorny vines painted on them. Presumably then, this was Ikki Kurenai. Naruko noted with disgust that Kiba was leering at her lecherously. "Team 10, this way," the Sandaime look-alike said before walking out. Shino, Shikamaru and Choji made their way out the door. The Jonin Kunoichi looked around and said, "Teammate. With me." And walked out as well. The three Genin hurried after her and caught up to her at the academy's main entrance. She looked each of them in the eyes, smiling when she saw Hinata, and said, "Meet me at Ashija's dango shop," before she vanished in a swirl of leaves. Naruko frowned. That was odd. Why would she? Suddenly, the gauntlet she had hidden on her arm warmed up and was getting hot. Naruko pulled her sleeve and looked at it. The eyes of the snarling ape face were glowing red, reminding Naruko of the Jonin sensei that had just been here. Looking up at her teammates, Naruko frowned when she saw that their pupils were contracted and they seemed to be staring off into the distance. Her own eyes widened when she realized what was happening. Bane Jutsu. Forming the tiger seal, Naruko attempted to dispel the illusion. "Kai. Release," she said as she tried to halt the flow of chakra within herself and then overpower the chakra of the person who had cast a Gain Jutsu with her own chakra. Much to her own surprise, it worked, revealing her sensei standing in front of her with wide eyes. "You broke free of my Gain Jutsu. Sanrin Hot Abi no Jutsu, illusion. Scattered Leaf Journey Jutsu, and my Gain Jutsu. Tmemanto no Jutsu, illusion. Invisibility Cloak Jutsu, before either of your teammates even discovered they were even in a Gain Jutsu," she exclaimed in shock. "How? I was told that you had no skill in Gain Jutsu or Gain Jutsu detection." "Ahaha." Naruko chuckled nervously. "Would you accept I don't know either as an answer?" "I'm afraid not," Kurenai replied firmly. Naruko sighed and revealed Nkgot. "I think it has something to do with this gauntlet that Sandaime Jai-chan gave me yesterday. I think my chakra control goes up a bit when I wear it." "The bit," Kurenai parroted, "try by a whole lot, Naruko. The academy's reports say you couldn't even recognize that you were in a Gain Jutsu, let alone break two almost simultaneously." Naruko flushed at this and opened her mouth to reply, but then Hinata ran through a short hand sign sequence and said, "Byakugan." Wide eye, prompting veins on the sides of her eyes to bulge out. After looking around for a moment, Hinata cancelled the Gain Jutsu on herself. "Naruko-chan? Ino-chan?" Hinata asked looking between her friends. Naruko swiftly concealed her gauntlet. She didn't want any more questions asked of her than Kurenai already had. "Ino-chan's still under the Gain Jutsu," Naruko told her. "I'd get her out of it, but I kinda don't know how to get another person out of a Gain Jutsu other than with pain, and if I use that method, Ino-chan will thump me one." Hinata giggled as she formed the tiger seal again, then reached to touch Ino's head and said Kai. Ino immediately blinked and looked around as Hinata removed her hand from her friend. "Huh? What the?" the mind walker said, disoriented by her sudden return to reality. "It looks like our sensei was testing us in advance of the real Genin test," Naruko said dryly. Kurenai's eyes narrowed at Naruko's words. "How did you know about the test?" "No Genin is supposed to know about the real test until told by their sensei," she asked sharply. Naruko shrugged nonchalantly. "Jai-chan mentioned it yesterday. He didn't say what it was, just that it's going to happen tomorrow." Kurenai stared at Naruko for a moment before sighing and beckoning the girls to follow her. They walked to the dango restaurant that Kurenai had mentioned previously and sat at a table. Kurenai ordered a pot of tea along with a plate of dango. Alright. Let's begin by introducing ourselves. The red-eyed Jonin said briskly as she poured herself some tea. Introduce ourselves. Ino said blankly, why? I've been friends and classmates with Naruko and Hinata for years. But you don't know me and I don't know you. Kurenai replied, I'll go first. I'm Iki Kurenai. I like dango and my friends, I dislike perverts and people who lower the standards of kunoichi. My dream for the future is to train you all into strong kunoichi. Your turn, ponytail. Ino's eyebrow twitched at the nickname, but she forced down her lingering irritation at the Jonin, who had put her under Genjutsu for a preliminary test, although Ino inwardly acknowledged that a great deal of her irritation was due to her own inability to detect and break the damn Genjutsu. Fine. I'm Yamanaka Ino. I like flowers, red bean soup and Sasuke-kun. I dislike loud and obnoxious people and, on occasion, forehead girl. My dream is to be a strong kunoichi and master my clan jutsu. Slight fangirl issues, but nothing too severe. Kurenai thought as she motioned to Hinata that it was her turn. I am Hyuga Hinata. I like she sneaked a blushing glance at Naruko, cinnamon buns, my friends, flower pressing and origami. I dislike people who put emblem where it isn't due, and the Hyuga Samki no Juinjutsu, Hyuga main family's cursed seal jutsu. My dream is to reunite the Hyuga clan as a family and become a strong kunoichi. Looks like she still admires Naruko. And she still hates the caged bird seal. Kurenai smiled at the girl she considered her surrogate daughter before turning to Naruko. And finally, Naruko. Your turn. Yosh. I'm Uzumaki Naruko. I like my friends, training, ramen, and a soon-to-be-added addition is researching my family history. I dislike Sasuke team, people who can't see the scroll for the kunai it seals, the 3-minute wait to cook cup ramen and perverts. My dream is to become the Hokage who will surpass all those who came before me. Dadabeo. Well, that was a whole lot more detailed than I expected. Family history. I thought she was an orphan. She's obviously taking a stand against the village idiots who think she's the fox. Good for her. Kurenai thought approvingly. Very good. Now, as Naruko said earlier, you have yet to actually pass the real test for becoming Genin. Kurenai said seriously. What was the academy graduation test for then? Asked Ino irately. A filter. To keep those who lack the most basic skills out of the shinobi forces. Kurenai replied, by passing those exams, you have proven that you are ready to be truly tested. I should warn you, the failure rate of the true Genin exam is 66% or, more simply, 2/3 of those who will take the test tomorrow will fail it. 2/3? Ino almost shouted in shock. Yes. All those who fail are sent back to repeat the last year of the academy. Kurenai said, absolutely serious. The test is tomorrow. Meet at training field 8 at 8 o'clock sharp. Dismissed. The 3 Genin got up and bowed to Kurenai before walking off, leaving Kurenai frowning in consternation at the retreating back of one Uzumaki Naruko. I had better ask Hokage-sama about that gauntlet. I've never heard of a device that improves chakra control like that before. Kurenai thought, unaware of the eavesdropping man who got up and wandered after her students. Hokage's office, 5 hours later. Kurenai's eyebrow was twitching rapidly in irritation. She, along with the Hokage and the rest of the Jonin sensei, were waiting for the last member of their group, the infamous Hot Aki Kakashi, to arrive. He was infamous for arriving 3 hours late to anything but A-rank plus missions or a meeting with the Hokage. In the latter's case he was instead only 1 hour late. Kurenai hated the man, who almost had to be a pervert, reading those smutty books in public as he did. She willingly admitted that his accomplishments during the Third Great Shinobi War and as an Anbu captain were impressive and noteworthy, but the man himself was an awful avatar of deviant hobbies and bad habits. She only hoped that none of his genin picked any of them. The puff of smoke signaled the arrival finally of the errant Jonin, who greeted them all with a jaunty yo. Kakashi. The Hokage sighed, I don't really mind if you are an hour late to a meeting when it's just me, but from now on, you will be on time of any meetings involving the Jonin senseis. Understood. Hi, Hokage-sama. The silver-haired man replied in a monotone voice. The Hokage looked at the former Anbu captain for a moment before sighing and spoke to the rest of the Jonin senseis. Now that we are all finally here, I would like your impressions of your teams and how you think they might fare tomorrow. The Jonin senseis for teams 1 through 6 were pessimistic about their team's chances. One even questioned why they were even bothering to test all civilian-raised teams in the first place. Finally, it was Kakashi's turn. Sakura is a fangirl, which is troublesome. She focuses almost exclusively on Sasuke, to the point of obsession. Kiba is arrogant, plain and simple. In addition, he is dismissive of kunoichi in general. Sasuke is also arrogant and gives his teammates the cold shoulder, seeing them as beneath him. I highly doubt they will pass my test. The one-eyed Jonin said lazily as he turned a page in his book. I see Asuma. Sarutobi said, turning to look at his son. Toji is unmotivated by anything short of anyone calling him fat and he eats too much, even for an Akamichi. Shikamaru, I suspect, is lazy but highly intelligent like the rest of his clan. Shino is quiet to the point of rudeness. I suspect that his average marks at the academy, like Shikamaru's, are by design rather than lack of effort. I think they'll pass. Asuma said with a smile that made Kurenai blush slightly. Good. Kurenai? My team is interesting. Ino is a fangirl, similar to Sakura, but not nearly as severe, I would say. There might be a point of contention with Naruko, but I think their friendship is too strong for it to be a factor. Hinata is shy and lacks confidence, but with Naruko's presence, I hope that will fade. Naruko is sure to describe. She is loud, uninhibited and I believe she lacks discipline. However, from what I gathered, she is planning to take a stand against those who believe her to be the fox, and she is very loyal to her friends. I believe my team will pass as well. Kurenai said with a small smile. Very well. Kakashi, Kurenai and Asuma, you three stay. Everyone else is dismissed to prepare for tomorrow. Sarutobi ordered. Once the rest of the Jonin had left, the old Hokage's face hardened into granite as he spoke. Kurenai, I have received word that one of your students is under threat of assassination. What? Kurenai's eyes flashed with anger. Who? Naruko. By the person we suspect to have been responsible for blowing up her former apartment building. Sarutobi replied gravely. Why haven't you arrested the culprit yet? She asked. Because all we have are suspicions. A lot of damning circumstantial evidence, suspicious behavior and secretive goings-on, but nothing that solidly links or suspect to anything we think he did. Sarutobi replied. Kurenai frowned. Technically, as sitting Hokage, Sarutobi was the military dictator of Konoha and able to do pretty much as he pleased. On paper. In practice, most of the civilian council dug its heels in stubbornly whenever the Sandaime infringed on non-shinobi matters. Whereas the shinobi council, who held far more power, had to be handled just right, as several of them were ancient and powerful clans dating back to before Konoha's founding, such as the Hyuga, whereas others were vital to the various areas of the Konoha shinobi forces, such as the Kurama clan, Genjutsu, the Inuzuka, tracking and Taijutsu, the Aburami, tracking. The Hyuga, tracking and Taijutsu, the Nara, strategy, the Akamichi, frontline fighters, the Yamanaka, interrogation, and, before their destruction, the Uchiha, ninjutsu. All of these factors, in addition to the fact that Sarutobi was an old man who should still be retired, meant he could not act without cause. Who's the suspect? She asked. Yamanaka Haro. He was shadowing your team right up until you placed them in that Genjutsu, then went ahead to the Dango restaurant you mentioned. It is the Anbu's opinion he plans to ambush your team during their Genin test tomorrow. Sarutobi replied. He was shadowing them and I never knew it. Kurenai was horrified. Was she useless as a Jonin? Haruo is a skilled Jonin who has specialized in infiltration and assassination, Kurenai. There is no need to feel inadequate as a Jonin because a specialist managed to fool you. Sarutobi added, as if reading her mind. Right. Kurenai shook her head to clear it, so, what's the plan to catch him? Sarutobi smiled predatorily, making the three Jonin shiver and make mental notes to never, ever get on the bad side of Sarutobi Hiruzen. That smile promised pain. But Naruko. Former Toji clan home, clan residential district. Naruko looked over the work her clones had done and smiled. The place was spotless and most definitely going ping. Not bad for another 5 hours of concentrated effort by 50 clones plus herself. After Kurenai had dismissed them, teammate had split up because Ino had one last shift at her family's flower shop to do, while Hinata had to report to her father about who was on her team. Naruko waved off Hinata's apologies and told her that obviously her father was going to want to know who was on his daughter's team, especially since Hinata was his heir. Naruko had spent a couple of hours doing a bit of shopping. She had run low on shuriken and kunai so she had stocked up. She had also taken the opportunity to buy a brand new outfit. While she loved her orange jumpsuit for its practicality, durability and, most importantly, color, she had decided that as an honest Akami Kunoichi, not a student, a more subdued color scheme was in order. Ino-chan won't believe her eyes tomorrow. Naruko thought smugly. Ino's complaints and rants about that accursed orange monstrosity were legendary at the academy. The academy. Naruko remembered Kurenai-sensei's warning about what would happen to those who failed the true Genin test. Her face contorted in a scowl. No. She absolutely would not fail tomorrow. She had been lucky that her Jai-chan gave her a special pass to graduate due to her mastery of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. If she failed and got sent back, she had little doubt that there would be a rule stating that only the Bunshin no Jutsu would be allowed. Even although she could use the damn thing, she did not want to have to wait an entire year to prove she could accomplish what she thought of as the single most useless jutsu she had ever seen. Even her Auric no Jutsu was more useful than the basic Bunshin. My family scrolls. Naruko remembered the 2 boxes she had put in her room last night. Maybe I'll find something in there that can help me. Dispelling her clones in a hurry, Naruko made it 2 paces before an enormous influx of memories, 10 hours worth from the first 30 clones, and 5 hours worth from the 20 she had made, when she arrived back from her first team meeting, giving her the mother of all headaches. Okay, that hurt. What the hell was it? Naruko muttered aloud once the searing pain disappeared. She could now remember cleaning the entire house from top to bottom and from multiple points of view from her clones. No way, she muttered in awe. She could remember everything her clones did. Was that even possible? She hadn't exactly read the part of the effect on the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu other than how to perform it. Deciding that she needed advice and to run a test whilst getting it, Naruko made another shadow clone and ordered it to go ask Iruka-sensei about the full details of what the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu could do. Having temporarily sated her curiosity about her best jutsu, Naruko moved once again to investigate her family's scrolls. Once she reached her room, she frowned as she looked between the red box and the orange box. Well, since my mother had red hair, I can guess that there might be family stuff in the red box. The orange one, I have no clue. I'll go with the red one for now. Decision made, Naruko lifted the lid off of the box and peered inside. The box was full of scrolls. There were about 7 large ones, a couple of medium-sized ones and several smaller ones. Secured atop one was a folded letter with her name on it. Reaching out with a trembling hand, Naruko picked up the letter and turned it around to see who had written it. Uzumaki Kushina was written on the back where a sender's name was usually written. Naruko gasped. A letter from her mother. Quite possibly the only word she would ever read written directly to her from her mother. Swallowing the lump that had suddenly appeared in her throat, Naruko unfolded the letter slowly and began to read it. To my daughter Naruko. As I write this, we have only just been told that you are a girl, so I can finally write down without tripping over gender-specific words. I hope that your father and I are sitting with you and laughing about your mother's paranoia during pregnancy, but this letter is written in the case that something goes wrong during the birth. Therefore, I must assume that either I am dead and your father is alive, or that both of us are dead and you are alone, for which I am sorrier than you can imagine. To start then. My name is Uzumaki Kushina, the last of the main branch of the Uzumaki clan, and I am proud to say that I am your mother. I have blood red hair and blue eyes. When I was younger, people nicknamed me Tomato because my face was quite round back then and my hair was so unusual. They regretted it though when I beat them up. I became a genin in due course and I was quite the scrappy tomboy, so much so that my new nickname was the red hot-blooded habanero. When I became a jonin, my exploits on the battlefield during the Third Great Shinobi War earned me a nickname I do not take much pride in. The Bloody Crimson Death. The Uzumaki are related to the Senju clan and have been allies for years. I was brought to Konoha for a very specific purpose. To become the container or Jinchuruki of the powerful Bijj known as the Kyubi no Kitsune. Naruko stopped reading, shocked. Konoha had brought her mother here to use as a damn container. How dare they? Naruko gritted her teeth and kept reading, hoping something here would explain why. The word Jinchuruki is an old one, as old as the shinobi world itself. It means literally the power of human sacrifice. Those that are called this have Bijj sealed within them, mostly done as a newborn child. This is because as a newborn, a human has undeveloped chakra coils, and so the Bijj's immense power cannot shatter and destroy the coils. Instead, the child's coils grow immensely due to the influence of the prisoner sealed within. We Uzumaki, however, are an exception. You may remember from history, you had better have paid attention, that the wife of the Nidaime Hokage was in Uzumaki, my great-aunt Mito in fact. After Senju Hashirama defeated Uchiha Madara at the Valley of the End, Mito Bochan used in Uzumaki clan Fukinjutsu to seal the QB, which had been under Madara's control, within her. She survived because our bodies make the perfect hosts for the tailed beasts. After a number of tests, Mito Bochan and the Shodaime concluded that the full weight of the QB's chakra was such that none but in Uzumaki could contain it because of our immensely dense, powerful and unique chakra. Even then, only a select few from the main branch had the necessary chakra to be a host. Mito contained the QB through the First and Second Great Shinobi Wars, unknown to the villagers of Konoha. Sadly, although the Uzumaki are known to be long-lived, Mito Bochan eventually felt that her life was to come to an end, so Sandai Emi-sama sent word to the home of the Uzumaki, Uzushiogakure, for someone to contain the QB before Mito Bochan passed away. I was chosen due to my extra dense and powerful chakra, but not told of why I was until some time after I arrived. Naturally, the thought of hosting the QB terrified me. Midobachan comforted me, and once I was ready, the QB was sealed inside me. You might be wondering why I am telling you this, Naruko-chan, and I will tell you now. The entire reason I am writing this letter is because for a Jinchuruki, there is one time, and only one time, when the seal keeping the Bijk weakens, and that is only applicable for female Jinchuruki. Childbirth. During the 9 months of pregnancy, the energy used to maintain the seal is instead directed towards the developing child, gradually weakening the seal until at childbirth, the seal is at its absolute weakest point, and the risk of the Bijk breaking out actually becomes feasible. We are taking all possible precautions to prevent this, of course. The Yondaime is going to be standing by to reform the seal immediately after childbirth, so the QB stands no chance of escaping. Minato is a superb seal master. For a non-Uzumaki. However, as you are reading this, I must tell you now. You are, in all likelihood, the new Jinchuruki of the QB. If the QB escaped, the only way to stop it is to seal it within a new vessel. It could not be resealed within me, because when a tailed beast escapes or is extracted, it usually kills the former host. Uzumaki live for about 2 hours after extraction, to judge from Midobachan. I desperately do not want to have you bear the burden of a Jinchuruki, so I have insisted on every scenario be considered to ensure the fox stays put. If that old fool Sarutobi hasn't told you about the QB yet, give his family jewels a good kick and say that it was maternal payback from me. If you are the new Jinchuruki though, something must have happened that we did not consider. It won't be a problem with the Fukinjutsu because of Minato being there, nor will it be an issue with me bleeding to death during childbirth. Sarutobi Bawako, Sandaime-sama's wife, is the best midwife and mednin in the world, aside from Tsunade of the Sannin. If anything, I would say that someone interfered with the process. However, we will be guarded by several teams of Anbu whilst under a Kekai in a secret location, so I am actually at a loss as to how this could have happened. You should be a chunin when you read this, so I am sorry that you have not known of your family until now. The contents of this box hold the knowledge, history and jutsu of the entire Uzumaki clan. I received it a couple of days after the destruction of Uzushiogakure from the personal summon of my father, the Uzukage, Eddie Shadow. I had Minato store this box in a secret safe built into the wall of the Hokage's office, just in case. He is a bit of an idiot. He believes that the village would honor any child of mine, regardless of whether it had the QB sealed in it or not. I am less trusting than he is. Now, I will give you the same advice that Midobachan gave me when she gave me the courage to become the QB's container. Fill yourself with love. It is the only thing that can counter the QB's chakra, which floods its host with negative emotions. Find someone, something to love and hold it close to your heart with both hands. Midobachan had Hashirama and I have your father. It worked for us and it will work for you. That is all I can tell you, my beloved daughter. The history of our clan, right up to the day of its near annihilation, is here for you to study. Our unique ninjutsu, our taijutsu, our kenjutsu, all of it is for you and your descendants. In another box, colored orange, is the Uzumaki's Fukinjutsu library, although I would advise you to work through standard books on Fukinjutsu before you so much as look at those. I also leave you my own sword, which served me faithfully throughout my career as a kunoichi. I called it Benahem, Crimson Princess, although others, mainly shinobi from Iwa, Kumo and Kiri, called it the Riketsu Shinigami, Bloody Reaper. Whenever it changes hands, its name is wiped clean, and the new owner must name it when it next takes a life. My daughter, you will live a hard, painful life, and I wish I had been able to save you from it. Just know that your father and I love you with everything we have, even from death. When you make Jonin, you will receive another box like these two from your father. This must be frustrating for you, but I had many enemies who would seek to take revenge on you to get at me, even in death. Your father has even more enemies that would seek to do the same. With all my love. Uzumaki Kushina. Tears fell from Naruko's eyes as she finished reading the letter her mother had left her. Thoughts whirled in her with alarming frequency, none able to surface to be heard in the raging tumult that was her mind at the moment. Her mother had done everything she could to prevent Naruko from becoming a Jinchuruki, but it had failed for a reason that had somehow gotten past all of the preparations and precautions that the Yondaime and the Sandaime had arranged. Her mother had loved her. Loved her enough to risk dying to give birth to her. Wiping her eyes angrily, Naruko then carefully folded the letter up again and put it carefully on her bedside table. She then examined the box of scrolls and selected 2 from within it, then closed the box again. She was then hit by an influx of memories from the clone she had sent to Iruka-sensei. Evidently, she could use the Kage Bunshin to speed learn jutsu and improve her chakra control. Nice. Don't worry, mother. I will make you proud. I'll live with everything I have and prove those idiots in the village wrong. I am Uzumaki Naruko and not the fox. The last Uzumaki promised her deceased mother as she walked towards the training hall with purpose in her steps. The next day, 7:55 a.m. Training Field 8, Konohagakure outskirts. "Where is Naruko?" yelled an irate Yamanaka Ino as she paced back and forth, constantly checking the position of the sun to tell what time it was. Standing a short distance away from the purple-clad Kunoichi was Hinata, poking her fingers together nervously. "I am sure she's on her way, Ino-chan," Hinata said quietly. Ino swung around with an irate look on her face. "She'd better be or I'll kick her ass," Ino said dangerously. "No way am I going back to the academy because she damn well slept in." "Good thing I arrived just now then, Ino-chan," said a voice from behind the blonde Kunoichi, making her and Hinata jump in fright. "Naruko?" Ino yelled in fury as she whirled around. "You scared me," though her voice faded as she took in the form of her teammate. Hinata gasped, squeaked out "Eep," and turned redder than a tomato when she saw Naruko. Instead of her usual orange jumpsuit, she was wearing a very interesting outfit. A tight black bodysuit that started at her neck and stopped at her thighs, a pale blue vest that did little to conceal her mildly impressive cleavage, a dull blue skirt and a dull red trench coat with a black hood adorned Naruko's body now. Black ninja sandals encased her feet. The right sleeve of the coat was missing and had a pair of black belts attached to the front and back of the coat, and she had a beautiful gauntlet adorning her right forearm. Her hair was in its usual ponytail, with a hit IA tied across her forehead and under the ponytail's tie. "Naruko?" Ino asked, stunned. "Is that really you?" "In the flesh, Databeo." Naruko grinned her foxy smile at her two friends. "Sorry for being late. I didn't get much sleep, for more than one reason." Hinata saw that Naruko's eyes were red and swollen. "Oh no, Naruko-chan, you've been crying, what happened?" Ino's eyes widened as she noticed this as well. "Naruko." It was almost unheard of for the irrepressible, upbeat and stubborn girl to even show a hint of unhappiness. For Naruko to have cried. Naruko said in a shaky voice, "I found a letter from my mother that she wrote to me in case she didn't survive the birth." The two other Kunoichi didn't hesitate to go up to Naruko and envelop her in a hug. Hinata had lost her mother when she was young and missed her desperately. Ino hadn't lost any of her close relatives that she had met, but shuddered at the very thought of losing her mother, whom she loved very much. Naruko returned their hugs with gratitude. "Well, ain't this cozy, Nai-chan?" An amused voice said from behind the three genin. The three-way hug broke up and they saw Kurenai-sensei standing next to a woman dressed similar to Naruko, except more so. She had purple hair in a pineapple-like style. Her bodysuit was mesh and her skirt was a dull orange. Not to mention shorter than Naruko's. She wore shin guards over her sandals and her trench coat was a dull tan. Indeed. Kurenai agreed with her mysterious companion, "It's good that they are close, isn't it, Anko? They might actually survive." Nothing better than smacking around genin fresh out of the academy. So young, so innocent, such easy prey. The newly named Anko said with a mildly sadistic expression as she licked her lips slowly. Ino was paling. "Anko? As in Midarashi Anko? The Takujo? Of Anbuti and I?" she squeaked out. "That's me." Anko said with a grin. "Oh, I recognize you, you're Inoichi's brat, aren't ya?" "She is." Kurenai agreed. "That's Yuka Hinata over there." "That stick up his ass Hiyashi's eldest?" Anko questioned as Hinata shrank back behind Naruko under the gaze of the older woman. "She's a mouse." "You sure, Nai-chan?" "Hey, quit picking on my friends, Hibiana, snake woman." Naruko growled. Anko's face went rigid. "And why do you call me that, Gaki?" she said very softly as she locked eyes with Naruko. Kurenai looked warily between the two Kunoichi. The whiskered girl snorted. "Because you reek of snakes. Just like that Anbu who kept breaking into my apartment before some jackass blew it up." Anko raised an eyebrow. "You can smell that?" Yeah. I'm surprised everyone else can't. Seriously, I could track you across a damn jungle," Naruko said with a wrinkled nose. Anko smirked as she slowly drew a kunai and began fingering it. "That's because I signed the snake summon contract, Gaki. Only other shinobi who have signed a contract or very powerful ninja can sense that kind of thing. Which are you?" "The summon contract? Never even seen one, so the second one I guess." Naruko smirked back. Ino and Hinata were crouched behind the red-clad Kunoichi like she was a shield. "That a fact?" Anko asked. "Well, we'll see about that, Nai-chan." Yeah." Kurenai said, still trying to recover from the sudden lack of tension in the air. "Ahem. Today, as you know, is the real genin test. Your test is to get Anko-chan here," she waved at the evilly grinning Kunoichi next to her, "to drop her kunai." The three genin looked blank for a moment. Then, Naruko spoke up warily, "So if she throws it at us, she loses?" "Essentially," replied Kurenai. "And she has no other kunai on her?" Ino further pressed. "Nope." Anko replied cheerfully as she tossed her kunai pouch to Kurenai. "Oh no, Kurenai-sensei, are you trying to kill us?" Naruko said, her face and voice completely deadpan. Kurenai raised both eyebrows at this. Why do you say that? Ino-chan called her a Takujo earlier. That means a Takubetsu Jonin, which is only one rank under you, Naruko said. Oh, the chance would be a fine thing. Anko muttered, making Kurenai flush red. And I'm fairly certain that new genin like us have only a slightly better chance against a Jonin than a snowball in hell. Ino finished, still pale. Tough kiddies. This is your test. Anko said seriously. Either accept the mission or take off your hit I-8s and scram. If you are given a mission that seems like suicide in the shinobi world when lives might be at risk, you do the mission, no questions. Weak resolves get you nowhere. In for a Ryo, Naruko muttered as she glanced to Ino and Hinata. You two in. I'm not ready to bow to some crazy snake lady. Anko's eye twitched at the nickname Naruko gave her. Me neither. Ino replied, taking heart from Naruko's confidence. Let's do our best. Hinata nodded. Naruko turned back to the watching Jonin. There you have it. Can we have time to make a plan first? Naruko asked bluntly. Anko and Kurenai just looked at them for a second before bursting out in laughter, prompting a tick mark to appear on both Naruko and Ino's heads. Boy. What the hell is so funny? Naruko asked. E3 pass. Kurenai gasped out, holding her aching sides with both hands. As one, the three genin say, eh? Anko grabbed her kunai pouch from where Kurenai had dropped it and strapped it back on. She then turned to explain the test to the genin. See, there are a few important things you need in a team. Individual abilities, teamwork, planning, all of those are important. But one of the most important is trust in your teammates. Kurenai took over at this point. If you don't trust your teammates, you can't make good use of your individual skills. You can't have any reasonable level of teamwork, and any planning is useless without trust on the side of the planner and those who will carry out the plan. She pointed at Ino. I brought along Anko-chan here because I knew that Ino's father had told her stories about Anko at home, so Ino's resolve was shaken. She knew that Anko was above her weight class. Kurenai then gestured at Hinata. Anko is also very good at intimidating people from just looking at them. Hinata has very little self-confidence, so she was reduced to cowering behind Naruko, someone she trusts. Anko jumped in again. So the last one left was Naruko here. She took in Ino's information about my rank, my presence and stares, and came up with the fact that they could not win, despite the handicaps we were throwing you. A sensible conclusion to be fair, as I could whip all three of you at once without even trying. Therefore, I then tried to push you all into a decision by introducing a sudden death situation. Do or do not. Try or fail. The key was the fact Naruko instinctively trusted herself, as well as you two. She trusted that you would fight alongside her, without a second of doubt on her part. In turn, the trust she showed in you returned your confidence, Ino, Hinata. And your belief in and trust in Naruko helped you two do that. Kurenai finished with a smile. The Gen and Kunoichi looked at each other with growing smiles. They had passed. Ino suddenly glumped both Hinata and Naruko with a laugh. We did it. She squealed in delight. Damn straight. Said Naruko. Hi. Hinata stammered out, blushing furiously at being drawn so close to Naruko's face by Ino's hug. Kurenai let the kids celebrate for a moment before calling them to order. Alright you three, settle down. She called with a small laugh. Once the three Kunoichi had calmed down, Kurenai continued. Now that you three are officially genin, we need to see where you skill-wise, so you'll be sparing with Anko no weapons, Anko. And she'll tell you where you need to improve. Naruko frowned slightly. Kurenai-sensei, I already know that my taijutsu is pathetic. Can I skip this bit? Kurenai was surprised. From everything she had heard about her, she had expected Naruko to jump at the chance to show off in front of others. Oh. And who told you that, Naruko? San, Daemi Jai-chan. He said that Mizuki team sabotaged my taijutsu so it was full of openings and was unbalanced. Naruko replied, a slightly dark look coming over her face. Ino was thunderstruck. So, when all of us thought that you were getting personal instruction, he was making your taijutsu worthless. What a scumbag. Hinata was glaring at nothing in particular, which was intimidating on the face of a Hyuga. Anko scowled and made a note to herself to really go to town on the silver-haired bastard when she got back to T&I. Kurenai merely frowned slightly. Well, that is certainly troublesome. You'll have to learn the academy style from scratch. Actually, I'm planning on learning my clan's taijutsu style, Kurenai-sensei. Naruko said happily, I never felt comfortable with the academy style, even before Mizuki team started messing with it. The clan style? You have a clan? Kurenai asked, surprised. Had, actually. Naruko corrected sadly, the Uzumaki were all but wiped out at the start of the Third Great Ninja War. My mother was one of the few to escape the massacre by being in Konoha when it happened. She left me the clan archives and library, so the Uzumaki are still here, even if it's only me. Aki, the only Uzumaki I remember being in Konoha after the war was Kushina-sama. You saying you're her kid? Asked Anko intently. Yep. I am proud to be the daughter of the red-hot habanero, Naruko declared. Ami Kurenai breathed in awe. Before she could say or do anything else, she felt her body struck with a wave of chakra. What the? She got out. All of the others felt it as well. Abruptly, Anko drew back her hand shakily and punched Naruko in the face, sending her to the ground. What the hell, Anko? Kurenai yelled. It's not me. Anko yelled back as she moved for another blow, my body's doing it all on its own. Ino's eyes widened as she kicked Hinata in the gut. I know what this is. Daddy told me about it. It is a Yamanaka clan jutsu, the Shinranshin no jutsu. Mind destruction jutsu. Naruko stood up shakily and did a roundhouse kick to Kurenai. Can you counter it? I haven't even learned it yet. Ino retorted just before Hinata backhanded her. Well, how does it work? Anko grunted as she tried to stop herself from drawing a kunai and failed. I think it works by sending chakra into the opponent's nervous system. Ino said, desperately trying to remember the conversation she had had with her father about the advanced clan jutsu. Is that all? Naruko asked as she shakily forced her arms to obey her, rather than the one acting as the puppet master, and formed the ram seal. The sudden explosion of chakra stunned all of them. Kurenai quickly realized what Naruko was doing. She was trying to force the invading chakra out by overwhelming it with her own. Stop, Naruko. If you force that much chakra into your body, there's no telling what the damage could be. She shouted. I can't handle it. Naruko gritted out. Anko charged at Naruko with her kunai drawn back for a stab. If you're gonna do something, do it now. The Tokujo yelled as she thrust the kunai at Naruko. Slice. Naruko dodged the kunai narrowly and rolled away from Anko quickly. Damn. That was way too close. Naruko panted as she stood. As one, her friends and teachers' bodies moved to attack her. Naruko dodged a couple of punches from Hinata, thankful that whoever was controlling Hinata couldn't make her use the Juken, gentle fist, that the Hyuga clan were so feared for. Enough of this. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Naruko shouted as she formed the seal before her. Instantly, 30 Narukos swarmed over her unwilling attackers and bound their limbs with rope that Naruko unsealed from a scroll. Temporarily safe from attacks, Naruko scanned the field as she drew a kunai. The person who used that jutsu had to be somewhere nearby and Naruko doubted that he'd give up as easily as that. Oten. Shinju's Anshu no Jutsu. Earth style. Headhunter jutsu. She heard before being dragged up to her neck in the earth. A black-clad body leapt up and stood in front of her. He was wearing Anbu-style armor and a red kitsune mask. Dead him. She ordered her clones, who charged the masked man with a roar. Meanwhile, she fruitlessly tried to free herself from her tomb. She couldn't make any hand signs, and she only had one jutsu that could be used without hand signs. Her clones were being wiped out, so she had to try it before they were gone, and her friends and teachers were at the unknown attacker's mercy. She focused on her chakra and needed it before opening her mouth at the attacker. Suiton. Tependama. Water-style liquid bullets. She mouthed before firing 3 fast-moving balls of water at the man, who had been taken off guard by the sealess jutsu. He dodged one on pure reflex, but was struck on the mask and in the chest by the remaining 2, sending him flying. Get me out of here. Naruko ordered her 2 remaining clones, and they hurriedly dug her out and pulled her up. Meanwhile, the other members of Team 8, plus Anko, having regained control of their bodies, were struggling to get out of the bonds that Naruko's clones had tied them with. The Nawanuk no Jutsu, rope escape jutsu, was only working slowly, and they were helpless to aid their friend's subordinate as she once more faced off against the man who attacked her. The man had regained his footing, and the kitsune mask, badly damaged by the tependama, was cracking and crumbling away to reveal. Cousin Haruo, Ino yelped in shock. Haruo ignored Ino and glared at Naruko. How did you escape my trap, demon bitch? He hissed at the Jinchuruki. How? You failed to graduate. Mizuki told me that himself. Trap? Wait, my house. You did that. Naruko shouted, glaring at the man angrily. I was in a meeting with my Jai-chan, you bastard. And I graduated because Mizuki team went traitor and I kicked his ass. Just like I'm gonna kick yours for attacking my friends. Naruko made the familiar hand sign again, her anger getting so strong she instinctively added a word to her favorite jutsu. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Mass Shadow Clone Jutsu. She yelled. In a massive explosion of smoke, an entire army of Narukos surrounded the man. The original hand signaled some to free her speechless team. Haruo looked around in shock. There had to be at least 1,000 clones in the clearing. Forcing himself to calm down, Haruo smirked at Naruko. These things may have beaten a weakling chunin like Mizuki, but I am a jonin, demon bitch. I won't fall as easily as all that. He sneered at the red-wearing Kunoichi. Then it's a good thing she has a team. Kurenai snarled as she stepped up next to Naruko, red eyes boring into the man who dared attack her student. Anko stood on the other side of Naruko, a sadistic smile on her face as she played with a kunai. Immediately behind Naruko, Ino and Hinata glared at Haro. Haro feigned shock. Oh, why didn't I think of that? A series of popping sounds signaled the arrival of outsiders to the battle. A spinning tornado cut through the clones and stopped at the side of Haro, revealing a man also dressed in black Anbu-style armor and wearing a blue kitsune mask. A swirl of leaves revealed a man in white Anbu armor and a black kitsune mask, who promptly fell into the standard kata of the Jukin. You know, now I come to think of it I did. Haro sneered at teammate. Chapter end. Alright, that's it for today's video guys, let me know in the comments section how was the story and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video, peace out.